Hagodol. Today's daf is daf nun beis. We'll start from the Mishnah, daf nun aleph amud beis on the bottom. Okay, this Gemara is a little bit technical. We learned before I know about value. Now there's I know on coins. Remember, coins has an intrinsic value, and over time it loses its luster. It loses some of it. Some of it silver loses some of its gold. It loses some of its of its own purity. Therefore, it's no longer worth its original amount. Still worth something, but no longer worth its original amount. So how much is a no when it comes to coins? And here we have three opinions. How much of the coin lose? We'll say this is not a no. Now we're going to say it's up to this amount. This amount already is considered a no. Rameir says, Arba Isaris Isa dinner. So you have 6 mo's to a dinner. You have 6 mo's to a dinner, and then you have 2 punyan per mo. That means that 12 punyan per dinner, which means that 48 punyan per what do you call it? Per seller, per dinner, and each punyan has 2 isarin. So you have 96 isarin for every dinner. So he's okay. The Mary says Arba isaris isa dinner. So what is that? 4 to 96. It's a ratio of 24. So he said when it comes to money, it's not a 6th, a 24th. If you undervalue whatever or overvalue by 24th and onwards, it's considered already a no. The Abuda says no, I wouldn't go to that extreme. Arba punyan is punyan dinner. 48 is 4 to 48, which is a 12th, not a 6th, but a 12th. Anything more than that is a no. And Abshimon says no. Shmaina punyan is shnei punyan dinner, 8 to 48, which is a 6th. No, according to Abshimon, there's no difference. Coins or everything else we learned till now. Ad mas and mutilahaf. So when it comes to coins, till when? What's the cutoff date, the cooling off period? The krach in a large city where you have counters there, money changers, the time it takes to go to make sure that it's all right. Or the kvarim in the villages ad erev Shabbos. The only time they'll find out is they go to the marketplace, and the vendor there who sees money all the time say, "Hey, this is not worth whatever it originally was." But if the guy, let's say the vendor, recognizes that this is the coin that I gave you as change, whatever it is, even after 12 months, if he's a chassid, a good guy, he'll take it back. The ain't love eloturumus.
It's constantly happening.
We'll see the one here. The ain't love eloturumus. But all he can have is kindness. Now, what exactly is kindness? The guy is being so generous and accepting a coin a year later back. Imagine if somebody comes to you, the warranty is for 30 days, and he comes 2 years later and he says, "Hey, it doesn't work." And if you are nice enough to give him back his money, you're a tzaddik. Gemara says even greater than tzaddik. You're a chassid. So what kind of kindness? The Gemara will discuss that. The noisna lemaisa sheni, but you can use these coins for maisa sheni. The einu chayshit. You use the coin, lost a little bit of value. You can use it to swap over your maisa sheni onto these coins to bring it to Shalim. Because your einu nefesh, generally, who are so pedantic, particular about these coins, are mori nefesh, stingy, frugal, parsimonious people. Come on. First of all, let's start off. The Mishnah seems to say that that these amounts are not only beyond that, and yet the Braisa said that these amounts already are oino. But there is a no, and it says exactly these same amounts. So which one is it? These amounts, is that oino, or from these amounts, this amount when there's no oino and only greater than that is enough? Omar Papa is not a stira. We have this a number of times. Loy kasha, it's not a kasha. Tana did Dunkel Choshim and Matlamai. Our Tana is saying there's no ino, it's till this amount. But this amount already is ino. On the block of Choshim and Matlamata. The Tana, the Bryce is talking about where there is ino and working its way down to the smallest amount. So these are the minimum amount to have ino. Maishna Besela, the pligi. Maishna Betal, the pligi. Why by seller? We have 3 opinions how much is considered ino, how much you have to lose. And when it came to talus, we have much less. Amarova says, Rava, man, Tana, talus, Shimi. Rava says, that Rav Shimon here is said by coins as a 6th. He's the author by the talus as a 6th. That means according to Rabbi Yehuda and according to Meir, it will be either 12th or 24th. According to Meir, high in business. Even according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you're only allowed to make a 12th profit, less than a 12th profit, it's not much. Abai says talis a talis adshtus. No, Abai says no. A talis adshtus machlev. People are happy to pay a little bit extra because they're walking away with something that's going to last for a while. There's a saying by people. However, when it comes to something that you're buying, you don't care to get ripped off a little bit because at the end of the day, you're walking away with something. So, but Shenke, B'Shav the Krisa, when it comes to food which you're going to consume and it's gone tomorrow, it's here today, gone tomorrow, make sure you don't overpay. Not even by a cent, because there's nothing to show for it. Seller, but seller, you need the full value of the seller. So therefore, people are not moichel. That's why you have to have much greater amounts. That even smaller amounts is considered oino, because its purpose is to spend and buy things, and now the buying power is less. Google, let's analyze. I come over here by no. What's the amount? The mayor says Abba Yisodas Isla dinner. It's the 24th. Rabbi Yehuda Medala Punya dinner, which is the 12th. Rabbi Shimon Shmuel Punya dinner is what is a 6th. That part is all right. But then the Braisa continues. Yes, said Al Kain. If it's more than that, Moichra B'Shavia. If it's more than that, we'll more explain what means more than that. If it's more than that, even though it's less than a seller, you can trade it off as if it's a seller. In other words, if the amount that it deteriorated is less than I know, you don't say, oh, it's only worth let's say it's 3% less than the seller. You don't say, well, this will give me the equivalent of 3% less than the seller. No, you can deal with it as if it's a seller. You can deal with it as if it's a seller, or we'll soon see, or maybe only what it's worth. What about keeping it? There's a point that in time that you start deceiving people. They'll think it's worth more than it is. As we see, sometimes the deterioration happens is the width and there's a thickness. Some coins, the width, the greater coin, and the smaller. If we look at our coins, the American coins, everyone's different size. So you can right away see without looking at it what this is. Quarter, a dime, a nickel, you can tell. But some of the coins over there, let's say obviously a seller and a shekel, might be or a dinner might be the same size in diameter, but the thickness is the difference. So sometimes you can get away with cheating. So until when do we say you can use the coin after that, get rid of it because you're going to deceive people. So I come to what stage should we say you can still keep it? The seller by a seller at shekel. Shekel half a seller. Up to a shekel you can keep it because people can tell right away if it's a shekel if it's a seller. Right, because it's noticeable. You can't take something deteriorated down to almost a shekel and say, "Oh, this is a seller." Because people right away can tell. But from if it deteriorates further, and people can tell if it's a shekel or a seller, but if it goes less than a shekel, people can no longer tell if it's, let's say, a half a shekel or a shekel. I'm not sure I can tell about shekel, but dinner, but not less. But dinner, when it comes to a dinner, 2 dinner in a shekel. When it comes to a dinner, ad river. Until a quarter. So it's not like a half of a seller you can allow to keep, and by a dinner, only up to, you can go down to a quarter. But Isser also. For less than that, even by one Isser, it is Isser, one of the coins, one of the denominations, it is forbidden. But Gemara said also, you're not allowed to use it. What do you do with the coin? Don't sell it. Not the merchant. And not someone the person who's a strong person, a strong armed person, not the murderer. I'm not sure what they want to add as a murderer. Why would you deal with a murder? Because what they'll do is they're going to cheat others. Ella Yikvena, puncture it, and as soon as they see a hole in it, they know like a ticket. They'll know right away it's been used. And then you can go ahead and hang around like a charm, good luck charm, amulet or something around the neck of your daughter or around the neck of your son. So you see right here, they used to wear necklaces, the boys. What's the boy going to do with coins? With coins. Interesting. Yeah, but with a hole in it, you can't use it. In other words, make sure that nobody can use this coin because you're going to cheat. Any coin that it looks like you can deceive people, don't use. You said, doesn't make sense. Why a seller you can go all the way down to half and people know the difference, and by then you can go all the way down to a quarter. I says, I'll tell you, you think Reva means a quarter of a dinner, so you have a good question. Why here down to half and a quarter? They tell you, now Reva shekel is a quarter of a shekel. Now a shekel has 2 dinner in him, so a quarter of a shekel is a half a dinner. It's a half a dinner, so it's the same thing. A dinner you can go down to half. So why use such a modern lotion as a quarter of a quarter and refer back to a shekel? Shekel, my Rav, Tony, shekel. They can prove to the Katani Reva. I've looked at it. If you don't say to be a quarter, it says Reva. It's like the name of a coin. So therefore, it's a quarter of a shekel. But why? Why does the Braisa have to be so ambiguous and say a quarter and refer back to a shekel? we're talking. We say a seller can go up down to half to which is a shekel, half of a seller deterioration. So say a dinner, it can deteriorate up to a half a half a dinner. Why go down to a quarter and say, oh, the quarter is referring back to a shekel, which is a half a dinner? Why? It's just confusing us. Lo in the middle, dinner b'shekel. Saying about milsaga urke mashlan. Come to teach you the iked dinner the asim shekel. That a dinner can come from a shekel and it's a shekel. Half a dinner you can use. Half a dinner you cannot use. And unfortunately, we have a hard time understanding. We know that already. What's the chiddush in that? We know that you go down to half. So you tell me the chiddush is that you can if you have a shekel, if it deteriorates down to dinner, you can use it, but any further than that you can't. We already know this concept. Anyway, the supports Rabami said. Dinner habam shekel mutar l'kaimah. A dinner that comes to shekel, which is half, you let it keep. Dinner habam selah l'kaimah. A dinner comes to selah, which is a quarter, you cannot keep. But we already know that principle. Anyway, now I'll help copy it a little bit. Pachas mekan. If you lose more than that, let's say a dinner goes down to a half a dinner, and then it goes less. Mekan iser, that it goes further down by, let's say, the value of an iser. Also, you're not allowed to spend it. I'll give it to anybody. You got to puncture it. My comma. What exactly does it mean more than that? My comma, what exactly does it mean?
To get a clout, anybody has a right to refuse a coin that they feel is lower value coin.
We call him a stingy person. Remember we said in the mission here that but we're talking about as long. If the, as Gemara will say later, if the currency can be used, maybe it's more difficult. Not every vendor accepts it, but if it can be used, then you should accept it. Metric guys accept it. That's how the business world works. Now, you say only if it loses an iser. So let's say down to half a dinner. If it deteriorates further, another iser worth, then you can't use it. What do you mean? If a half a dinner is already it just makes it even a mashahu more than a half a dinner, you should no longer use it. Why only if it loses an iser? What does it mean? My comment. What does it mean exactly? If you lose another iser, and if you lose less than another iser, it's already you can cheat people. This is what he meant to say. He's saying here what? That if a seller, so go back to a seller, if a seller lost more than an Easter, like we go to Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, we said no, it's the 12th or 24th, is Asr. You're not allowed to spend it anymore and say that's like a full seller. Then why an Isser? Same thing. If you reach the point of Oino, then this is the maximum that we tolerate. If it goes a mashu more than that, it's no longer tolerated. So what do you mean? If you lose another Isser? This is what Rabbi says. Pachsa sela Isser dinner Asr. The stomach could have Meir. This follows on Meir. Meir says, remember, we go by 24th, we go by the Isser. So therefore, that if you lose another Isser, another more than a 12, more than 24th, you can't use it anymore. Okay, we look in the Mishnah. A seller that lost its, deteriorated, and you decided to use it no longer as currency, but you still don't want to throw it away. You're going to use it now as your weight to Meya. So now it's a keli now because you made it into it's no longer a currency, it's no longer a coin. It is a keli. It is tamei. Why? Because you made it a keli. Interesting, because they talk about the Rebbe's dollars. Is it still considered currency because nobody spends that money? So on Shabbos is a muktzah because it's a keli, and it's still considered currency, but you're not using it. Like here you see here currency, but here the chilik is you can't use it if you want to. It's not. It's possible. It deteriorates to such a point that you can no longer use it. What about we just
that ever gave you a shlichus to give this
or exchange? He says exchange. So you were paid it. I mean, over the years, you were paid it. Meir didn't let you walk out without beginning with stuff. Yeah, interesting. This is a whole discussion. Anyway, thinking about it. How much should it deteriorate before we say it's it? You can no longer even keep it anymore. What point? The Gemara for a seller is shnei dinim. That a seller is half. Is 2 dinim. About 4 dinim in a seller. So up to 2 dinim. If it loses more than 2 dinim, we want you to have it anymore. Yeah. Pachas mekan. If it's less than that, then what do you do? Let's it's lost more than now. It's worth less than 2 dinim. What do you do with it? Yakets. Cut it in half. That cut it in half. Yes, okay, Mike. What about more than that? If it's more than that, now if it's so like this, if it's exactly half, well, Susie, what does pachas mina yes mean? One of them you cut it, the other one is well, what do you do? So what Abuna says. This is what Abuna says. Pachas mikan, if it's less than that, yakut. Yes, I can yakut. Either one. If it turned out to be it's worth now less than two dinim. People are not experts, and they're going to give it more value than it really is, and therefore less than two dinim people think it's two dinim. More than two dinim people might think it's a seller, and therefore you shouldn't use the currency anymore. However, the Bami says pachas mekain yakut less than that taka yakut you should because people might, if it's worth now less than a shekel, less than two dinim, no longer use it because people, once you get to a shekel, less than a shekel, people might think it's a shekel. You're going to deceive people. However, more than a shekel, people can tell it's not a seller because a seller is much thicker, it's much more noticeable. The rabbi knows it's not a seller, so they'll know more or less what the value is. Yes, you can keep it. We're not worried that you are going to cheat and deceive people. Mason asks a question. Yes, okay. And if it's more than that, that if it's more than that, in other words, if you lost more than a certain amount, you can still use that currency, but don't treat it like it's a seller. Let's say you lost more than enough. Don't treat it like a seller, but treat it whatever its true value is. It's true shavius. So yes, okay, sell it for whatever the true value is. So we see clearly you're allowed to have it. You're allowed to even use it. You're telling me before that more than if it's worth more, if started out being a seller and it deteriorated, but it's more than a shekel. We had a machlekes Abuna, and Abuna says no, don't use it because people make a mistake, and Abba says you can use it because people already know so this is not a seller, they'll know what it is. It says clearly here, it says clearly here that you could continue using it, but only for its true value. That means you don't have to throw it out, you don't have to cut it. My life that it lost more than the oina, and it's telling you don't deceive people and say treat it like a seller, but treat it whatever its true value is. It might be 2.5 dinner. So the Gemara, you say no, you know what it means here. Let's say it lost less than a sixth, according to Reb Shimon. If it lost or less than 12, according to Reb Yehuda. If it lost less than an amount, no problem. Let's say no, but don't tell people it's a seller. If it lost, let's say, not a six, let's say it lost a 13th, let's say, it's all right. Don't say pass it off as a seller. Tell them it's worth a 13th less than a seller. That's what you can use. And that's why you like to keep it, because it's less than I know. But even less than I know, don't treat it as if it's a full seller. That's how he'll learn pshat. So you want to make a question. How much should I lose before we say you still have to keep it? The seller at shekel up to halfway. My lab, the pocket purta to get to a shekel. It's two dinim. It had to slowly the value. So we see that even though it was more than I know, let's say a sixth was more than I know, but it was only 2.5 dinim worth. It was more than I know compared to a seller. It's more than I know, and yet it says you got to keep it. Because how do you get down to a shekel? The only way to get down to a shekel, it had to be a stage that was more than I know. And I would have said, I keep it once it's more than I know. Said you're not allowed to keep it. It fell in the fire, and in one go, it dropped down to a what do you call it? To a shekel. You hang it around your kids' neck. You should not use it. You should not use it at all. You shouldn't throw. You shouldn't throw amongst your shards. The loy your kavena do not puncture. We're not learning. Oh, loy your kavena. You shouldn't puncture. Hang it around your kids' necks. Elo yishcha grinded, or yotzcha melted, or yotzcha cut it up, or yelchei melech. Yeah, and here tell me you hang around your kid's neck. We make a hole in the middle, everyone can tell it's no longer a coin. That you can hang around your kid's neck. Kan min atzad, you make it on the side, they'll shave it off. They'll shave it off and say, okay, it used to be a seller, we lost part of it, now it's worth something. Why, when it comes to the seller, the maflik gives so much more time to have Shabbos? By a talus, would give you extra time? When our Mishnah said that by a talus would give you only the time to show your relatives from large cities, but in fact, a little shtetl, a little village, would give you till every Shabbos. So that's what it means. Rabbi says no. Talis kolinish kila begabo. Everyone knows the value of a talus. Seller, when it comes to currency, you have to be an expert. Even the lab kolinish kim lebagavo. Not everyone knows an expert and looking at a coin how much value it has. Elo shulchni, a guy who deals with money all the time. When it comes to large cities, the eco shulchni have plenty of money changers. We give you only a certain amount of time until you show it to a money changer. When it comes to the villages, like a shulchan, there's no money changes around. Ad Arve Shabbos is the Salkil shulchan. They go to market, they can show it around to people. We had the same idea in Tosis in Kedushin, that a woman, people don't know the value of jewelry, of precious stones. And therefore, you have to, we shouldn't give a Kedushin with a precious stone because she might think that it's worth a lot more than it really is. And so on. Okay. But if the vendor recognized the coin, after that, even after 12 months. But what are we talking about? In a large city, 12 months. Right now, the Gemara thinks that this is halacha. If you recognize the coin, not be halacha, you have to give him back his money. In large cities, you said you show it to a money changer. A few days, whatever it is, or a few hours. For in the village, so in the city, a few hours, you go to a money changer. It's a Friday, not a year. Rav Chizda says, Midas Chasida Shonakan. You see the pun over here? Rav Chizda says, Midas Chasida Shonakan. This is not a, that's exactly right. We're talking about Chassidus. He being so charitable and noble. He has kindness. Laman, who are we talking to? That the chassid has kindness to the guy for coming back to him after a year. Where were you this whole time? Now you come back to me. Then don't take it. Who asked you to take it back from the guy? You're not going to take it back. We said you have to let a Shabbos or a money changer. So you want to be a nice guy that have kindness. What kind of nice guy are you? Exactly. We're talking to the guy that went to give the money back. Well, the boss of the cabinet Harum is devilish. So what's going to say? He got his money back a year later, and you're going to have kindness. It can't be. But another person. We're talking about if the guy is not a chassid. Stop a person that you give the money back a year later and you say to him, hey, this is what you gave me, it's worthless. If he says, I'm too bad, so you're out of warranty, I'm not interested, you can't have any time with him because he's not believed to take care of it. Let's go further.